So as I've been recording these videos, and I just had Carl the Crab here, you might have seen this video just a minute ago, and if you didn't, go look for one with a red Carl the Crab on my head. I talked about something where when you're holding properties through market conditions, one of the fears that people have is they say to me, doctor, we don't want to get into property, but what about the market conditions? One of the beautiful things about buying properties with cash flow is if you're only in a capital growth area, so for example, when I end up in Melbourne, where I know I'm going to be shortly, or whether it's Singapore or whether it's Hong Kong, or where even into places like if I go into Central Europe, it doesn't really matter. If you're in a market where it's primarily capital growth focused and you don't have the banks wanting to lend to you, it does make it more difficult. We're very blessed in this country, in the United Kingdom, because we have a small country of 65 million people and packed into a small island with a growth rate of about 400,000 roughly per year. So you can imagine the demand that puts on the property market. This is why when I'm overseas internationally and I'm talking to people and I'm presenting, they get so excited about the UK. It's like, oh my gosh, you've got a tiny island there, not enough properties. No wonder there's so much demand. No wonder the government are excited about us as investors buying these properties up to help support, for example, anything from social housing, asylum seekers, students, professionals, first-time buyers, maybe buying a property, giving them a chance to rent for a period and then allowing them to buy from us. There's so many amazing strategies. So from my perspective, when I'm looking in a country which is primarily capital growth based and very little cash flow, the problem you've got there is you're hoping for this, right? So you're buying it at this value and you're hoping it's going to go to that value. And during that time, you're not getting any cash flow. So it could take 15 to 20 years before you sell it. If you get a recession and it comes flat for a while, you got no cash flow, but you got no capital growth either. Whereas if you buy a property during that period, in other words, a recession hits somewhere in here, and you've got cash flow coming in, for example, a small buy-to-let in the United Kingdom for about 60 or 70,000 pounds will produce 200, 250, maybe 300 pounds a month. If you go for a multi-let house of multiple occupation, you could be looking at 800, 1,000, 1,500 pounds per month net cash flow. So those properties, for example, may not be going up in a great deal of value, but you're producing a cash flow. If you've got 10 of them and they're producing £1,000 each, that's £10,000 a month. I'm just trying to convert that into Singapore dollars. That's like $20,000 a month, or if you're in Australia, something similar, I'm guessing, if you do the numbers. So what if the property stays flat for the next 5 years? So what? I'm making like 100 grand a year over 5 years. That's £500,000, £500,000, and that's the beauty of a cash flow strategy, is that you are taking effectively your profit, in this case cash flow, instead of hoping for the capital growth. So you may only get a 50% growth in the value of the property versus a southern-based property, or a Sydney-based, Melbourne-based, Auckland-based, wherever it is you are, depending on your market conditions, and you'd have to do the evaluation yourself on this. Whereas I might, so for example, I look at a southern property, it might double in 8 years, whereas it might take the northern property 12 years to double. But the northern properties produce for me so much more cash flow. So what I'm saying here is, are you looking for the lifestyle first rather than the hope of the lifestyle off the equity in the future? And this is where, if you protect your business in the right way, and this is the great thing about property, is by producing the cash flow, even in a recession, people need a roof over their head. Even these people, the negative people who say, well, you shouldn't get into property, they still need a roof over their head. If you're an entrepreneur, you need a roof over your head. If you trade the stock market, you need a roof over your head. If you run a business, you need a roof over your head. If you're in a job, you need a roof over your head. If you're a doctor, you need a roof over your head. If you're Dr. Rowe coming to a seminar, you need a roof over your head. As landlords, we can provide roofs over people's heads. In other words, what we can do is we can buy the properties to allow them to live in our properties. And whether the market conditions are going up or down, it doesn't matter, because we're producing a cash flow. You get enough properties and that cash flow is amazing. It feeds the kids. I'm about to go out and get some food to eat in just a moment. And when I go to the restaurant to eat, I can't pay the owner of the restaurant from the equity of my house, because he's going to go, give me some cash. But I can pay it from the cash flow in my properties. And on that note, I shall sign out, because I have to get back to my computer, back to my slides, to get ready for my presentation tomorrow. I hope to see you very soon, and if you do see me at a training at some point in the near future, come up to me and say, Dr. Rowe, it was great to see you, and I love your glasses. Signing out. Cha-ching.